I'm Drew Thorngren, and you're listening to Aggie Radio 92.3 FM KBLU LP Logan, Utah. Find Touchdown Thorngren on Spotify, Podbean, and iTunes. The new sports podcast for all you sports fans. Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Drew Thorngren, and I'm really excited to be able to start up Touchdown Thorngren podcast. Here at Touchdown Thorngren podcast, we're going to be talking a lot about the sports updates, all the news that's going on in the sports world, tips for fantasy football, predictions, and recaps of everything that's going on for the upcoming week, as well as recapping what happened and the latest moves happening with your favorite sports teams. A little bit about who I am. I'm a former college football and rugby player. Growing up as a kid, I always loved playing baseball, basketball, football, and track. And I've always enjoyed sports. Whether it's been watching sports with my friends or family, or playing sports, or attending big events, I've always had such a thrill of being able to be involved in the sports world. And when I was a kid, I was able to be part of the KSL Sports Beat edition for a local news station in Utah. And I remember covering, it was the Colts Jaguars game when I was in 5th grade, and I thought it was the coolest thing being able to be a sportscaster for the day. And with being the youngest sportscaster on the KSL Sports Beat edition, just as a kid, staying up to date with all the sports and everything that was going on and being able to talk sports with all my friends. And now being a college student here at Utah State University, I'm really excited to be able to have my own podcast to talk about whatever sports I want to talk about and keep up to date with the fans, and to be able to talk about your favorite sports teams and what predictions may happen and occur, and to be able to give you the fantasy football update. So I'm really excited to be able to talk with other sports fans. It's been a pretty exciting week of what's happened with all these new moves happening right before the NFL season, with the NBA conference semifinals happening and the NFL kickoff here on Thursday. I know all you football fans out there are ecstatic to be able to have football finally back. And also having a Hall of Famer NBA player become the Nets head basketball coach. So that's pretty exciting. So we have a lot to talk about this week. And we're going to go ahead and start with the Texans versus Chiefs. I am so excited to be able to see Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes play. I mean, there's so much hype right now going on with the Kansas City Chiefs after they won the Super Bowl and have been able to maintain a lot of their roster. And then being able to have Patrick Mahomes signed to a 10-year deal worth up to $503 million. That is so much money. And Deshaun Watson recently being able to get a 4-year, $156 million extension. I mean, these two are the future of the NFL, being able to not only be Super Bowl caliber teams, but to be able to be invested here in the long run with their franchises. So I'm really excited to see what's going to happen with the Texans versus Chiefs. I'm going to go ahead and choose the Chiefs just because I'm really liking their offense, because it's lethal. I mean, you look at what happened last year and they're able to retain a lot of the same players and the same roster. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs over the Texans, but I'm really excited to be able to talk and to be able to stay up to date with football now. I mean, we've gone through a long drought with everything, especially with COVID and having some sports being delayed, but I'm really excited to have football up and going. Question to ask for the football fans is how the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to do this year. I'm excited to watch Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I think that was a great addition to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because they had a lot of depth on their roster last year. But being able to have Tom Brady, I think, sets them over to be able to be a Super Bowl caliber team. And not only having Tom Brady, but being able to pick up the Rob Gronkowski over. I mean, those two are a dynamic duo. And so I'm way excited to be able to watch them play. But you also have O.J. Howard at tight end with Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. I mean, that offense right there is scary. And not only do they have that, but they also have Leonard Fournette and picked up LaShawn McCoy. And so this offseason has been really busy for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The question is, though, are they going to be able to keep up with the New Orleans Saints in their division, as well as the 49ers, who are also up there for front runners to be able to represent the NFC to go to the Super Bowl this upcoming year? I really do like the matchup between Brady and Breeze, because being able to see them play 2 times, and then who knows if they'll play each other in the playoffs, there's going to be a lot of exciting football, especially in that division. And I really like the signing of Leonard Fournette. Being able to have him on your offense with a stacked wide receiving core and tight end core with him as an addition to the backfield, I think is going to be really, really scary for defenses to compete against that. And then you also have Cam Newton, who is now the starting quarterback for the New England Patriots and team captain. Cam Newton, I think, is going to ball out this year. I think Cam Newton has a lot of weapons that he'll need with the New England Patriots offense. And Julian Edelman recently has been taking less reps at punt return, to be able to be more ready for the offense and wide receiver. And with Mohamed Sanu being released, I think he's really going to do big here with Julian Edelman. And I think we're going to be able to see a lot from those two together, especially with the defense. I think their defense is pretty stacked, and they'll be able to compete once again as they did last year. And I'm really liking Cam Newton on the New England Patriots offense. So I'm excited to watch him. I don't know if they'll be a Super Bowl caliber team. They could, but they're definitely going to be a playoff contender team for sure. And with the NBA semi-conference happening right now, I'm pretty excited. It's for all you sports fans out there watching the basketball. It's been pretty great being able to see all these upsets and close games in the NBA bubble. And the question to ask is, do the Heat have what it takes to win the NBA title? And being up 3-0 against the Milwaukee Bucks is pretty impressive. Jimmy Butler is really putting the team on his back. And with Game 4 coming up this week, it'll be interesting to see if they sweep them or if the Bucks can make a comeback. But I'm really liking the Heat, and it's going to be interesting if the Heat are able to sweep them or win the series. It'll be interesting who they can play, whether it'll be the Celtics or the Raptors. And with watching the Boston Celtics, being up 2-0 and then later having that crazy buzzer beater with 0.5 seconds left with the Raptors winning their first game, then winning last night or the other day. It's going to be pretty epic to watch this game, the series, with tying it 2-2. And then you got the Rockets, Fear the Beard. Seriously, James Harden is going off in the playoffs. For all you sports fans that were able to watch Game 7 of the Rockets versus Thunder, was pretty epic, with James Harden not only blocking the shot, but being able to dodge the ball when it was getting thrown at him to get it out of bounds on them for the Thunder to be able to recover. But for him being able to jump up and not have the ball touch them and being able to win the series was really impressive. And I'm really liking the matchup. You got LeBron and AD, and then you got James Harden, Russell Westbrook, and it's going to be a great series to watch. I don't know who's going to win. You got the Lakers, who are on fire some nights, and other nights it's a little bit of a struggle. But then you also got the Rockets, who are red hot right now, and it'll be entertaining for us sports fans. And then the Nuggets being able to keep up with the Clippers. I'm really liking that. The Clippers, everyone thought they're going to go in there and sweep the Nuggets or whoever they're going to play, and then people have predicted them to go to the conference finals to be able to play the Lakers was the front runner. But having the Nuggets being able to keep up with them is very interesting. And I'm really excited to be able to see what's going to happen there. I'm really liking the matchup. And I think this is going to be a pretty big test for the Clippers, but it'll be fun to watch this upcoming week and two to be able to see who can win that. Big moves in the NFL. So this offseason has been crazy to watch in the NFL. And just recently, over the past week, we have Jadeveon Clowney is reunited with Coach Vrabel when they were at Houston together, and when he was the positioning coach and defensive coordinator at Houston, to signing him to a 1-year contract worth up to $15 million for the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee was already scary enough last year, and especially with the offense with Derrick Henry. Right there you had an outstanding running game, but being able to add Jadeveon Clowney to the defense, Titans are going to be making some noise in the AFC. And another update was Adrian Peterson signed with the Detroit Lions for a 1-year deal. I'm liking that because, he's back up in the NFC North. The Redskins cut him. He's finishing his career, has a couple years left in the tank. And it'll be fun to watch him play against his former team, the Minnesota Vikings. And it'll be interesting to see what depth he can add to the Detroit Lions. And you got in the NBA world, you got Steve Nash, who became the Nets' new head coach. And it's pretty remarkable that he has never coached before. He went from being a player to retiring to working with the Warriors and then becoming the next head coach of the Brooklyn Nets. And being able to coach Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant with not having a coaching background before, that's a lot, and that's putting a lot of trust in Steve Nash, and I'm excited to see what he does, because you look at some players that became coaches and doing amazing. You look at Steve Kerr. He had, experience, but being able to go from a player to a coach to being able to win coach titles for the Golden State Warriors, I'm interested to see what Steve Nash will do with the Nets, especially with a championship-ready team once Kevin Durant comes back next season with also Kyrie Irving. All right, we got the LA Chargers versus Cincinnati. Joe Burrow, I think, will be a great quarterback in the league. He wins. He wins everywhere he goes, but it's going to take him a little bit to get used to the system. And going against the LA Chargers, I know Chargers, they lost Phillip Rivers, but signing Keenan Allen to an extension and with their depth, I'm going to go with the Chargers over Cincinnati. Now we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus New Orleans. Okay, I am so excited for this game. You got Tampa Bay, tons of hype with Tom Brady, leaving the Patriots, going to Tampa Bay. Got the Gronk, got O.J. Howard at tight end, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, LaShawn McCoy, Leonard Fournette. You got so many weapons for Tampa Bay. And then you got New Orleans. They just signed Emmanuel Sanders over the offseason. Loaded offense. They're stacked. You have Michael Thomas, got Jared Cook, Alvin Kamara at running back. Awesome, amazing defense. I'm loving that matchup, but I think Brady's going to go into New Orleans. He's going to win. So I'm going to go with Tampa Bay. All right, we got Arizona versus San Francisco. Arizona, they're pretty loaded on offense. You got DeAndre Hopkins, who just got over the offseason. And then you still got Larry Fitzgerald. You got a pretty loaded roster right there. And so it'll be interesting to see what Kyler Murray does this season, but I do have a lot of high expectations for the Cardinals, especially with the addition of DeAndre Hopkins. But, San Francisco, so close to winning the Super Bowl last year. Tons of momentum. Has that fire within them coming into this season. Amazing defense. The best defense in the league as of right now with the roster. And then on offense, Deebo Samuel could possibly play on game 1. And I'm really liking San Francisco. And it's home, San Francisco. A lot of momentum. I'm going to go with the 49ers. All right. You got Dallas versus the LA Rams. Dallas is going to be scary. You got CeeDee Lamb you're able to pick up. And you already have Amari Cooper, Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott. Pretty loaded defense going against the Rams. The Rams do have a lot of depth. And it is home with the Rams, but I'm going to take the Cowboys over the Rams. Pittsburgh Steelers versus New York Giants. I'm going to go Pittsburgh. well coached. Giants, they have potential, but I'm just liking the coaching experience. Big Ben, I'm going with the Steelers. And then Tennessee versus Denver. With Javion Clowney signing to the Titans, I'm really liking that depth to the defense. I mean, their defense is stacked and their offense. But Denver's going to be interesting to watch this year. To see what happens with Drew Lock and be able to, to see how they're able to perform with him. And it's a home game in Denver. I think Denver has a lot to prove. And so I'm going to go with the Tennessee Titans over Denver, but I'm liking Denver this year. So those are some of my predictions for the upcoming week 1. All right, now we're going to dive into fantasy football for the upcoming week. Before we begin with who I'm going with week 1, I'm going to go over some of my top players at different positions for you fantasy football people out there. All right, this year, you can't go wrong with Patrick Mahomes. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, he's going to ball out. You got Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins. He's going to get tons of rushing yards. I'm liking Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. He's going to do just as great, if not greater, than last year. Rushing, throwing. I'm loving Lamar. Dak Prescott. You got CeeDee Lamb, and then you got Amari Cooper. Those two right there with Dak Prescott throwing to is going to make some noise. And then I got Tom Brady. I mean, Tom Brady throwing to Chris Godwin, okay? Mike Evans, O.J. Howard, and Rob Gronkowski. You have 4 lethal weapons. And you know what? Brady may not have the same arm strength as he did during his younger years, but man, those slants, those short routes with those quick receivers, and then he can throw the long ball still. I mean, I'm loving Tom Brady right there. Deshaun Watson, same as Patrick Mahomes, Lamar. He's going to get tons of rushing yards, throwing. I'm liking him. Someone I think is going to rise up this year is Matt Ryan. I mean, Matt Ryan, I think, is a sleeper on the fantasy football stats, but I think he's going to have a huge year. You got Calvin Ridley, Julio Jones. Todd Gurley is going to help with the rushing, but that rushing game is going to be able to open up the passing game. So I'm really liking him there. We're going to go to running backs, okay? Running backs, Saquon Barkley, I think this year he's just going to ball out. I mean, you got the receivers on the Giants not looking so hot. You got Sterling Shepard, right? You got that. But I'm really liking Saquon Barkley in the rushing game, as well as Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is going to have a phenomenal year. Ezekiel Elliott's going to have tons of carries. It's going to open up the passing game, but he's going to get a lot of reps. And Christian McCaffrey. I mean, Christian McCaffrey, what he's been able to do during the past couple of years in his career is amazing. With blocking in the passing game, the running game. I mean, he's just racking up yards everywhere. And then amazing running back who can block. And then I'm liking Josh Jacobs. I think Josh Jacobs is going to have a breakout year. So watch out for Josh Jacobs. And then you got Joe Mixon. I'm liking Joe Mixon. Just got a contract extension. Joe Burrow, you'll have AJ Green. He'll be able to throw too, but he's really going to open up the running game. So I'm really liking Joe Mixon. Those are just some of my top running back players to try to get for, especially with drafting this upcoming week right before the season starts. Wide receivers, I think Devontae Adams is going to have the most outbreak season. I mean, you don't have a whole lot of weapons on Green Bay Packers offense, but Devontae Adams already balled out last year, and this year with Aaron Rodgers, I think Devontae Adams is going to have a phenomenal year. Julio Jones, going to have another fantastic year. You can't go wrong with Julio Jones. Tyreek Hill, Patty Mahomes is going to be throwing a lot to Tyreek Hill. Fast, arguably one of the quickest, if not the quickest wide receiver in the league. Also Michael Thomas. I mean, you got Emmanuel Sanders who's going to help out a lot on the offense, but Michael Thomas, I'm loving there. And then Chris Godwin or Mike Evans. I don't think you can go wrong with either of them. And then tight ends, I'm really liking, George Kittle. With Deebo Samuels being able to not have some of the training camp and being able to work through the offseason with his unfortunate injury. and hopefully being able to play week 1. But Jimmy Garoppolo with George Kittle, they have that connection, and I'm really liking him this year. He's going to arguably, or if not, the best tight end in the league. Excited to see what he does. George Kittle, can't go wrong with him. Travis Kelce, same thing. Arguably one of the best, if not the best, tight end in the league. Loving him with Patrick Mahomes. Zach Ertz, same thing. He's going to ball out. And Rob Gronkowski, he may have had a year off, but he's going to do amazing with that Brady-him connection, the chemistry, and then Mark Andrews going to ball out. Kickers, can't go wrong with kickers here with Robbie Gould, Harrison Bucker, Justin Tucker, Will Lutz, and Greg Zerlane. You can't go wrong with them either. Matt Prater's always reliable. Mason Crosby, can't go wrong with them. Kicker. Defenses, San Francisco 49ers. Arguably the best, if not the best defense in the league. Then you got Baltimore, very well coached, tons of depth. Then you got Pittsburgh, amazing, well coached, liking them. New England Patriots, loving them. And the Tennessee Titans, watch out for that defense too. And you can't go wrong with drafting them either. So that's why I'm going to go with fantasy football. So good luck to all you guys who have drafted, or if not, are drafting this upcoming week before the season starts. That's it for today. Thanks for tuning in to Touchdown Thorngren on Aggie Radio 92.3 FM KBLU-LP Logan, Utah. Find Touchdown Thorngren on Spotify, Podbean, and iTunes. The new sports podcast for all you sports fans.